What if I told you that every single argument you've ever had, every goal you've ever chased, even the love you feel, what if it was all just one small part of a hidden war? Not a war for money or land or even power in the way you might think. Nope, it's for something way more fundamental. Today, we're diving into a theory that flips everything on its head, framing all of life as a constant, universal search for one thing: energy.
And the whole thing really kicks off with this one single, profound idea. It suggests that the universe itself is basically just a giant power bank, and that all of life, everything we do, is about figuring out how to plug into it.
So, here's our roadmap. First, we'll break down the 3 fundamental ingredients that make up life itself. Then we're going to get into this great energy war that, according to this theory, defines our entire existence. From there, we'll see how that war creates a very real crisis of control in our own lives. And finally, we'll look at a path to finding a truly infinite source of energy.
Okay, so before we can understand the war, we have to know who the soldiers are. And according to this way of thinking, everything that's alive is built from just 3 essential components.
All right, first up, we've got structure. Think of this as the physical hardware. Your body, a tree, a tiny cell. It's the actual vessel, the container you need to hold everything else together. Without it, energy would just be chaos, and consciousness wouldn't have a home.
Of course, a structure on its own is just an empty box, right? It needs the software to actually run it, and that's our second ingredient: consciousness. This is the spark, the awareness. You could call it the ghost in the machine that actually experiences and feels the world.
And that brings us to the final piece, the fuel that powers the whole operation. What makes the hardware and the software actually live? Well, that is our third and maybe the most crucial element of all: energy. It is the life force, simple as that. Without a steady supply, the structure falls apart and the consciousness just fades away.
Now, here's a really important distinction. Not all energy is the same. There's what this theory calls chaotic energy. It's just kind of floating around, disordered, and honestly pretty useless by itself. It only becomes powerful, what's called ordered energy, when it gets captured and put to use by a structure, like a person or a plant. That is the energy that actually sustains life.
And that right there, that absolute need for ordered energy, for energy that's attached to a structure, well, that's the spark that ignites the central conflict of all existence. It's this universal, invisible battle that every single living thing is fighting, every moment of every day.
So this totally reframes the whole point of being alive. It isn't just about survival or passing on your genes in the classic sense. No, at its very core, the process of life is the process of competing for energy. The more you can get, the stronger your life force becomes.
I mean, think about it in the simplest possible terms. Think about a seed. It's a little structure full of potential. The second it goes into the ground, it starts this relentless process of pulling in energy from the sun, from the soil, all to fuel its growth. You cut off that energy supply, life stops. It is a literal life or death battle for energy from day one.
All right, so we've been talking big picture, cosmos, plants, but let's bring this home. How does this massive cosmic war for energy actually show up in our day-to-day lives? This is where the theory gets really personal and honestly, sometimes a little uncomfortable.
So how do we get this energy from each other? Well, the theory uses the classic concepts of yin and yang to explain it. It talks about yang energy being the energy of the physical, material body, while yin is more the energy of the soul, the inner world. And the idea here is that we're often drawn to people who have the kind of energy we feel we're missing. It's a dynamic that starts with our parents and plays out over and over in our adult relationships.
And this is where things might start to hit a little close to home. I mean, just look at this list of behaviors. Does any of this seem familiar? Being short-tempered, feeling tired all the time, lacking confidence, being fearful, even things like talking nonstop or acting pretentious. This theory frames all of them as symptoms of being low on energy.
It makes you think, right? You start seeing these everyday struggles in a totally new light. So, if we're all feeling this energy drain sometimes, what's our go-to move? What is the default human strategy to try and fix this energy crisis? The human solution, the strategy we all fall back on, is one single, powerful, and deeply problematic word: control. When we feel our own energy is low, our instinct is to try and fix it by controlling others, so we can take theirs. And once you start looking for it, you see this strategy
everywhere. A child rebelling against their parents? That's an attempt to get energy. An argument with a partner, or maybe the silent treatment. Those are just tactics in the energy war. Possessiveness in a relationship is seen as just trying to stop your partner's energy from leaking out to other people. And it scales all the way up to conflicts between groups, religions, even nations. At their core, it's all just a struggle to control others for their energy.
I know, this sounds pretty bleak, doesn't it? Like we're all just stuck in this constant draining war, trying to siphon energy from each other. But the theory doesn't just leave us there, in that hopeless place. It offers a way out of this zero-sum game. It points to a path toward an energy source that is truly infinite.
So, if trying to control other people is just a trap that leads to more conflict and exhaustion, what's the alternative? Where can we find an energy source that fills us up without having to drain someone else dry? The answer, it turns out, is all about shifting where you plug in. We're looking at two completely different paths here. The flawed path, the one we default to, is control, trying to steal finite energy from other people. It's draining and it always leads to conflict. But the true path is connection, learning how to receive infinite energy directly from the universe itself.
And how exactly do we tap into this infinite source? This is where it gets kind of paradoxical, but in a really beautiful way. True energy doesn't come from taking, it comes from giving. Through selfless acts of love, through simply appreciating beauty, we release our own energy. And in that process of releasing, we open up a channel to receive so much more in return. As the source material puts it, the more you release, the more you will receive.
So this whole theory really leaves us with one big fundamental question to ask ourselves. In your relationships, in your work, in your daily life, where are you really getting your energy from? Are you fighting that old war, trying to control and take it from the people around you? Or are you learning to connect to something bigger by releasing, by giving, by loving? Because in the end, where you get your energy from might just define everything.